Hi, my name is Aya, you're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to do another recommendations video, and this one is one I'm very excited about, and I actually cannot believe that I have not done a video recommending these books before, but it's the touch her and I'll kill you trope. So these, as you can obviously imagine, mostly take place in either dark romance or fantasy romance or paranormal romance. So that is basically what most of these recommendations are going to be. I've tried to do some books I've recommended a lot before and some that I have not really recommended a lot. Yeah, it's going to be a mix of that. And I, just like everybody else probably that loves reading romances, I'm a sucker for this trope. So if you have any good recommendations, leave those in the comments because I'm sure not just me, but a lot of other people would be interested. I have split this video up in 4 categories. I have one book that's a contemporary romance, although I do have to say it leans a little bit dark, but it's not, I wouldn't classify it as dark. Then there's the dark romances, which I have 5 to recommend to you, 2 fantasy romance and 2 paranormal romances. So it will differ, like some of these guys actually have killed somebody who touched their girl, or they have actually threatened bodily harm, or they just give off the vibes that if somebody so much as looks at their girl wrong, they will do some serious damage. So I'll explain with each book. So let's get started with the one contemporary romance, and it's King of Wrath by Anna Huang. Okay, so these covers don't really show up too well, so I'm gonna leave a picture actually. This is a billionaire romance. This is the first book in her Kings of Sin series, and this book you follow Dante Russo and Vivian Lau, and okay, so basically her father blackmails Dante into getting married to Vivian. She has no idea, but he hates her because he feels like she's obviously part of his problem. So before they actually get married, they have to live together, be engaged for a year, and then they actually have to get married. But his plan is to ruin her family in the meantime. But of course, now that they're living together, he realizes that she has nothing to do with it. In fact, she's also being manipulated by her father. And, you know, he obviously starts falling for her. First of all, Dante is one of my favorite fictional men ever. I love him. He is so amazing. And I believe, like, there are several people he threatens for looking at Vivian wrong or touching her inappropriately. So of course I love that. It is so amazing. And since he, you know, he doesn't mind actually getting his hands dirty, like he likes to fight and stuff like that, like you can believe him if he actually threatens that. Whereas with some billionaires, you're like, whatever. I'm sure you have never actually hurt somebody, but Dante, I definitely for sure believe that he has and will hurt anybody who dare touch his girl. So yes, first of all, I really love this book, but definitely a touch her and I'll kill you hero. Now for the dark romances. The first one is Ruthless Stranger by Maggie Cole. This one I do have to confess, I don't really remember a lot about like actual details of the touch her and I'll kill you vibe, but this is a mafia romance. Usually mafia romance, MMCs have no qualms being a touch her and I'll kill you kind of hero. In fact, I'll just say touch her and I'll hurt you before YouTube gets mad at me. So this is about these 2 people, which I've forgotten their name. Let me look it up, 1 second. Maxim and Aspen. So both these, actually what I like about this book is that both of them are a bit older. I believe they're in their late 30s, beginning 40s, something like that. So she goes on this vacation. She recently got divorced and she's on this girls trip, and while they're at the pool, she spews out that she wants to kind of have a one-night stand, but she doesn't want to have a conversation before. So she kind of wants some guy to kind of blindfold her and then fuck her, and then he leaves and she never know who he actually is. So Maxim is overhearing this conversation, and later he ends up telling her friends that he'd be willing to be that man for her. So they, being good girlfriends, you know, take his wallet and stuff like that, so that if he actually, so that they have some kind of leverage over him that he wouldn't actually hurt her. So they have their night, and both of them have this like fabulous, amazing night. He can see her, she's blindfolded, but she can hear his voice, and he has a uniquely deep voice. And they kind of spend the weekend together. just fucking each other basically. And then they say goodbye, and both of them assume that they're never gonna see each other again. But a couple weeks later, they're both at their hometown, and they see each other at a meeting, and she recognizes his voice, and obviously he recognizes her. And now that he has her in his grasp, he's not willing to let her go. Once again, like I said, I don't know what kind of scene there actually is of him. I'm not sure if he actually utters the words, touch her and I'll hurt you. So I'm not sure on the specifics of that, but I have written it down that he is definitely a touch her and I'll kill you kind of hero. Next is one I'm sure you were waiting for me to recommend, because I remember this scene vividly. And it's Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. So this actually is not my favorite Anna Huang. I gave it 2 stars, but I mean, if nothing else, Christian Harper is definitely a kill you or a touch her and I'll torture you slowly kind of hero. This is the 4th book in the Twisted Lies series, and actually even though these are 2 different series, both these characters appear in each other's books, and these 2 books kind of take place around the same time, so that is fun. Christian is kind of obsessed with Stella. She's a social media influencer, and he is technically her landlord, and he kind of does things to kind of make her life easier for her. And then at one time, they kind of start interacting. Eventually, she starts living with him. And there is a scene where somebody touches her ass, I'm pretty sure. And then he finds that man, he kidnaps that man, and then he tortures him for sure. I'm not sure. I think he actually also cuts off his hand or something. Like, it is brutal. So yeah, definitely, like, he is the epitome of a touch her and I'll hurt you hero. Next is the Mindfuck series, and this is a bit of a twist because technically this is a touch him and I'll kill you, FMC. So this is a series of 5 novellas following this serial killer named Lana and an FBI agent on her case named Logan. And they meet, and she obviously is keeping a secret, a big one, that she is the serial killer that he's hunting down. She has her reasons for being a serial killer are valid and justified. But obviously he's an FBI agent dealing with serial killers, so he is in danger a lot. So there are a couple of scenes where she hurts somebody real bad for like threatening him or almost killing him. I do have to say, I do think he's also a touch her and I'll kill you kind of hero, but she doesn't need saving, so that's why the twist is there. This is one of my favorite series. I read that they're gonna make a TV show out of this, and I think this would make an excellent TV show, so I'm very excited to watch that if it ever actually becomes a thing. So yeah, this is very action-packed, and I really love the romance, but really I read it for the plot because I thought the plot was very good. Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is a stalker romance. You follow Allie and Josh. Allie has this obsession with these masked men on TikTok and Instagram. So especially one she follows religiously. And one day she asks her regular hookup if he wants to like get a mask and kind of chase her around. He declines, but he does end up showing the text to his roommate Josh. And Josh, who has been kind of obsessed with Allie, sees the text and he sees that picture and he knows that that's him on the picture because he has been making these thirst trap videos online. And now that he knows that Allie is interested in the same kind of stuff that he's interested in, he sees it as his opportunity to take things further. So he ends up filming one of his thirst traps on her bed, and she, like every other week, watches his video right as it's posted, and she's like, wait a minute, that kind of looks like my comforter. Wait a minute, that kind of looks like my closet. But obviously she doesn't really think anything of it until she shows up back at home, goes into her bedroom and finds his mask on her bed, and she is kind of freaked out, obviously, but also kind of turned on. So this kind of starts their romance. It starts with him still being masked anytime they come in contact, and eventually the mask comes off and it's their romance. There is a scene in here where somebody threatens her, tries to hurt her, and he has no qualms hurting that person. Although no, he does have qualms, but I mean, in order to protect her, he's willing to do anything basically. There is a twist in this book in that his father is actually a serial killer. So he kind of struggles with that aspect of him. Like he thinks, okay, so if I actually hurt somebody, am I just like my father? So that kind of makes him a bit of a different MMC than the other ones I talk about. But there's definitely a scene of him hurting somebody who dared touch his girl, or even thinks of touching his girl. So definitely he fits with this group. I think it's impossible to make a recommendations video of a touch her and I'll hurt you hero and not include Irina Kent. In fact, I could have had 10 Irina Kents in here, but I restrained myself and only had one. And I chose God of Malice this time. So this is the first book in the Legacy of God series, and this is basically a next generation series, but you can 100% start off with this one because I did. And this book you follow Killian and Glyndon, and they meet when she is on this cliff after her best friend committed suicide, and it seems like she is thinking of doing the same thing, but not really. So then Killian shows up and she kind of gets scared and slips and actually falls, and he ends up saving her. And while she's still on the ledge, he tells her, you know, I can pull you up, but you have to do something for me. And so he's obviously crazy. Like, he's a sociopath for sure. Eventually she agrees to his fucked up deal. So he ends up pulling her off the ledge, and he tells her, you can say thank you in either one of two ways. Either you face fuck me or I'll actually fuck you. And since she's a virgin, she goes for option number one. And so that happens on while she's still sort of like on the ledge. And then Killian becomes obsessed with her. Like, he starts stalking her. Everywhere she goes, he's there too. And eventually this is gonna be their romance. There is, he is definitely, first of all, he's unhinged, okay? As you could guess by what I just described. But for sure, he's very protective. Like, even though he has no qualms hurting her, he's the only one who can. Nobody else can touch her. Nobody else, even her brothers, he kind of jealous of her brothers. Like, even if they look at her too long or touch her, he kind of gets feral, even though obviously those are her brothers. But yeah, definitely a touch her and I'll kill you hero. But like I said, I don't think I've read Irina Kent. That is not a touch her and I'll hurt you hero. So now moving on to the fantasy romances. I only have two. But a lot of fantasy romances have a touch her and I'll hurt you hero. The first one I actually have a quote is in Enchantra. And in fact, in this book, he actually tells his brother, I won't be showing you any mercy if you lay a finger on my wife. Yes! Okay, anyway, this is the second book in the Wicked Games series. First book being Phantasma. In this book, you follow Genevieve and Rowan. And Genevieve goes to Italy to try and find out more about her mother who died in the first book. And when she gets to the house where she thinks she'll find answers, Rowan is there and he tells her that she needs to leave, she's not welcome, but she ends up bypassing him and therefore she seals her fate because she's in the house at the time of the spring equinox, and anybody who's in the house at that time needs to, has to be a part of the games. And the games are basically the silver siblings, so Rowan is a silver, have to fight each other to the death, and the only victor left standing is the only one who doesn't have to spend his year in hell, his or her year in hell. And the reason they don't die is because they're immortal. But Vivi is the only one who is mortal, so if she actually dies in the game, she ends up dying for good, basically. So Rowan ends up making a deal with her that they have this marriage of convenience because there's a loophole that a married couple can play together. So she has really no choice but to agree. So yeah, these are very deadly games. His siblings are the ones who are hunting down Vivi. So he's for sure, if anybody so much as lays a finger on her, he will be showing them no mercy, because obviously they're his siblings, even though there has to be one lone victor in the end. There's obviously different ways of playing the game and actually killing your siblings. So yeah, I really love this book. I would highly recommend it. Another one I read recently is Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry. This is about this world with 5 kingdoms, and every couple years the princesses have to get married to the princes from another kingdom. Odessa, who's the main character, always thought that her sister was going to be one of the sparrows, which is what the princesses are called that have to get married. But when the Prince of Torah shows up, he tells everybody that he wants Odessa and not her sister. So now she is thrust in this political game and she has really no idea how to maneuver all that. She has no real training. The guardian seems interested in her, even though technically she is married to the prince, and that is not the guardian. The guardian definitely for sure, like he is a fearsome warrior in his own right, but so obviously he has no qualms of actually hurting somebody who dared touch the woman he loves. So yeah, definitely a touch her and I'll kill you hero for sure. Now last but not least, the paranormal romances. The first one is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a romance between a vampire and a werewolf. And the vampire, Misery, she's not that strong, but Lo, the werewolf, definitely is. So this is a world where, so there's humans, there's werewolves, there's vampires. Everybody knows about the other one. It's not like it's a hidden paranormal world. Misery has to get married to the alpha of the werewolves. She doesn't want to, but she feels like she has no choice because she thinks that the werewolves have the answer to what happened to her foster sister. So she goes and she thinks that Lo hates her. He thinks that she smells really bad. Of course, if you are a paranormal romance reader, then you know that it's probably because he's smelling his fated mate. So she has to go with him to the werewolf clan and she lives there. And for sure, anybody who dares threaten Misery, anybody who so much as says a bad word about Misery will have Lo's wrath to deal with. And I really love this book. And the sequel actually comes out later this year. I cannot wait to read that one. And last but most certainly not least is Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliet Cross. This is the 4th book in the Stay Spell series. And this is about a witch and a Grimm. So Livy and Gareth. And they seem to not really like each other. Their book has been teased in at least the book before it, but also I think the book before that one. But they have to work together in this public relations contest. But they actually, like I said, they hate each other. But while they have to work together, they kind of get closer. Obviously, he's a fearsome Grimm. Like he has these dangerous, scary powers. And he, like a part of him doesn't like those powers, but he has no trouble using those powers if somebody so much as looks at Livy the wrong way. But also I believe in this book, she actually also gets threatened and he ends up hurting the person who wanted to hurt her. And obviously I loved reading that. So those were my recommendations for the Touch Her and I'll Kill You MMCs. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and whether or not you agree with me that they're the Touch Her and I'll Hurt You kind of hero. And like I said in the beginning of this video, definitely let me know if you have any recommendations for me and everybody else. I would really love to know. And if you're down there, leave me some sort of like weapon emoji. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.